The Kingdom of Zimbabwe c. 1220–1450 was a medieval Shona Karanga kingdom located in modern-day Zimbabwe. The capital, Lusvingo, now called Great Zimbabwe, was the largest stone structure in pre-colonial South Africa. This kingdom emerged after the collapse of the Mapungubwe kingdom. The name, Zimbabwe, comes from the Shona term for Great Zimbabwe, a medieval city in the southeast of the country whose remains are now a protected site. Two different theories discuss the origin of the word. Many sources suggest that Zimbabwe comes from Jimba Dza Mabwe, translated from the Karanga Shona dialect as house of stone. Jimba equals plural of imba, house, Mabwe equals plural of bwe, stone. The Karanga-speaking Shona people living around Great Zimbabwe in the modern province of Masvingo claim that Zimbabwe represents a contracted form of Jimba Hwe, which means honored house, in the Zulu Shona dialect and usually refers to the house or grave of a tribal chief. Origins of the kingdom. Although the Kingdom of Zimbabwe was officially established during the medieval period, archaeological excavations in the region show that the formation of the state here is much more ancient. Previous theories have suggested that in the early 11th century, people from the Mapungubwe kingdom in South Africa moved north into the Great Zimbabwe region. More recent research and evidence suggests the site of Great Zimbabwe was occupied as early as 600 AD and that the city and kingdom were an evolution of the Gumanye and Gokomere cultures, some of which still exist today. The rulers of Zimbabwe brought traditions of art and masonry from Mapungubwe. The elaborate construction of stone buildings and walls reached its peak in the kingdom. Mambo institutions are also used in Zimbabwe, as the three-tier class structure becomes increasingly rigid. The kingdom imposed taxes on other rulers throughout the region. The kingdom is made up of more than 150 tributaries that are headquartered in their own little Zimbabwes. They established power over a wider area than Mapungubwe, Butua or Matapa. 2. Economy. The Kingdom of Zimbabwe controlled the ivory and gold trade from the interior to the southeast coast of Africa. Asian and Arabic goods can be found in abundance in the kingdom's territory. Economic domestication, which was very important for the former Proto-Shona states, was also practiced. The people of Great Zimbabwe mined for minerals such as gold, copper and iron. They also raise livestock, as explained by the livestock hypothesis. 3. The decline of Zimbabwe. Around 1430, Prince Nyachimba Mutota of Great Zimbabwe traveled north to the Dand region in search of salt. He then defeated Tonga and Tavara with his army and founded his dynasty on Chitakochanganya Hill. The land he conquered would become the Matapa Kingdom. Within a generation, Matapa surpassed Great Zimbabwe as an economic and political power in Zimbabwe. By 1450, the capital and most of the kingdom had been abandoned. DN Beach 2014 argues that due to the reluctance or inability of many researchers to work in Rhodesia and Mozambique in the last 15 years, the history of the state of Matapa has relied heavily on the work of D.P. Abraham, at least as far as tradition is concerned. The end of the empire resulted in the splitting of the Proto-Shona forces. Two bases appear along the north-south axis. In the north, the Matapa kingdom continued and even improved the administrative structure of Zimbabwe. It does not carry on the stone-making tradition as far back as its predecessors. In the south, the Kingdom of Butua was founded as a smaller, but nearly identical, version of Zimbabwe. The two states were eventually absorbed into Shona's largest and strongest state, the Rozwi Empire. 4. Construction and growth. Construction of the stone buildings began in the 11th century and continued for more than 300 years. The ruins in Great Zimbabwe are some of the oldest and largest structures located in South Africa, and are the second oldest after Mapungubwe in South Africa. Its most formidable structure, commonly referred to as the Great Enclosure, has 11 meters (36 feet) high walls that extend about 250 meters (820 feet), making it the largest ancient structure south of the Sahara Desert. David Beach believes that his city and state, the Kingdom of Zimbabwe, flourished from 1200 to 1500, although a somewhat earlier date for his death is implied by a description sent in the early 1500s to João de Barros. Its growth has been attributed to the decline of Mapungubwe from around 1300 due to climate change or the greater availability of gold in the interior of Great Zimbabwe. Traditional estimates are that Great Zimbabwe had as many as 18,000 inhabitants at its peak. However, a more recent survey concluded that the population likely never exceeded 10,000. The surviving ruins were built entirely of stone. They cover 730 hectares, 1,800 hectares. Damage to the ruins. Damage to the ruins has occurred throughout the last century. The removal of gold and artifacts in amateur excavations by early colonial antiquities caused extensive damage, particularly excavations by Richard Nicklin Hall. More damage was caused by mining some of the ruins for gold. Reconstruction efforts since 1980 caused further damage, leading to the alienation of local communities from the site. Another source of damage to the ruins is that the site is open to visitors, with many cases of people climbing walls, walking over archaeological deposits, and excessive use of certain roads, all having a major impact on the structures at the site. It relates to natural weathering damage that occurs over time due to vegetation growth, deposition of foundations, and erosion from weather. That's 5 Brief History of the Kingdom of Zimbabwe, quoted from Wikipedia.org. Hope it is useful. Thank you.